So I know personally as a brand that's centered in diversity, that has, a broad range of customers with brown skin and, black skin, that looks to us for skincare products, but also skincare guidance. It seemed like we needed to be having a conversation about the significance of skin cancer awareness. And so obviously anyone that goes by SPF Lady is like the best person to have it with. And so, yeah.
So it's such an important point. And so, yes, May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and the first Monday in May is Melanoma Monday. And melanomas kill people of all color every day. And I think that people need to understand how serious this is. As someone dies from melanoma every hour, and it is something that is underdiagnosed and undertreated in people of color. And that's a tragedy that we really need to help resolve by educating. And it's one of these things where even in the way we describe skin, like we talk about type 4, type 5 skin, and darker skin types are described as not being able to burn. And that, I think, creates a level of safety in regards to the risk of skin cancer, to not needing to use sunscreen or sun protection. And the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter how dark your skin is. You can make melanoma. People with darker skin types oftentimes make them in unusual spots, meaning on their soles of their feet, on their hands, under their nails, places that aren't necessarily being looked at by the individual or by their provider. And that leads to a delayed diagnosis and treatment, which leads to a worse outcome. But the great news is melanoma is 100% curable if we catch it sooner. So it's one of these things where all of us, particularly if you have a family history of skin cancer, but all of us need to go in and get our skin checked. You go in and they're going to look you over from tip to toe, and things present differently on different individuals. And that's the reason why going to see somebody who's comfortable with all different types of skin and know what they're looking for is really, really an important part of this process.
I mean, obviously you preach the use of SPF, and I want to talk more about that. But in terms of limiting the prevalence of melanoma, is it just regularly going to the dermatologist? Do you think?
So there's really good data. People who get their skin checked once a year do not die of melanoma.
Yeah.
So it's the people who die from melanoma are people who haven't had a skin exam for 5 years or longer and don't have a relationship with a dermatologist. And actually, a fascinating study showed that people with melanoma in situ, which is a fancy word for the earliest type of melanoma, also don't die of melanoma, and they think it's because they have a good relationship with their dermatologist. So it's one of these things where I think in general, Caucasians are more apt to go to the dermatologist for other reasons, or go to the doctor in general. And we really need to increase our education and availability so that everyone can get in, because really outside of colonoscopies, skin exams really do prevent bad things from happening. And so it's something we just got to make people do.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because I'm pretty adamant about going to different doctors. But I do think when it comes to my dermatologist, I tend to go when I'm treating something cosmetic or clinical, but something doesn't look right. I'm, here for acne or dark marks, or my hair is doing something funny. I don't know that that I've had many conversations with my friends about getting regular skin exams. So I'm glad that that conversation does need to occur more in Black and brown communities. I do know I don't even want to tell you how late it was, but very recently I started to I was a full-blown adult when I started to wear SPF. And honestly, I started to wear SPF because I noticed that my skin just appeared better. It more radiant, and I, as you know, as the founder of Hyper, have always dealt with acne-prone skin, chronic acne, and then for me, that's always been followed by dark marks. And so, with all of the products that I've used, really wanted to focus on SPF. But I'd love to know what kind of advice you have about SPF from a medical perspective, because I am usually focused on it from more of a cosmetic.
So first of all, don't feel bad. I think people of all backgrounds, men, women, all colors, don't think about sunscreen unless they have a crazy mother who's a dermatologist, honestly,
Yeah.
or they start to see the sign of aging. And really, 90% of aging comes from the sun. And on me, I have thin, pale skin, right? So I make wrinkles, right? You've got thick, beautiful skin that's going to make brown spots. And so sunscreen is going to keep me from making wrinkles. It's going to keep you from making brown spots. And that's how I get them in. That's why I get them addicted to sunscreen, is exactly what you said. But then the decade or the 2 decades of wearing that sunscreen, people think once the damage is done, it's done forever, and it isn't. If you start wearing sunscreen, then your body can start correcting that damage to the DNA because it's not continuing to be damaged. So like you can be a bad girl in your 20s and then clean up your act in your 30s, and it will actually decrease the number of skin cancers you make in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. So you're not alone. Don't feel guilty. It's never too late to start wearing sunscreen. And sunscreen it prevents skin cancer, right? And that's a very motivating thing. But the risk of skin cancer is much lower than the risk of making dark spots or having wrinkles or having unwanted sunspots. And so use it for all of the above. Like use it because it's going to help you look better longer, right? Like why not? And I am a huge believer in physical sunscreen. I actually think chemical sunscreen should be thrown away. And I can talk about that for as long as you want me to. But there's more and more data showing we shouldn't be using it. Let's use zinc, and we're going to get the benefits from that.
That is so I know the data, but I am like a chocolate colored woman. I cannot get to find. I have some favorites in my sunscreen drawer. I think Super Goop has a great sunscreen, and I have a short list if anyone wants some others, but they're all chemical in terms of the ones that go on my face and don't make me look like I just died. So
totally. And like in the last 2 years, there wasn't a cosmetically elegant sunscreen for people of darker skin types. Like there wasn't. You looked ashy. It was terrible. So Ilia Super Serum is amazing. It comes in 20 shades. It's available at Credo. It's zinc based and it blends beautifully.
That one out, and I'm going to get back to you on what I think.
Yeah, no, check it out and see what you think, because I've had a lot of success with it with men, women of all different ages and colors. Venus Williams just launched a sunscreen line. I've been impressed with that too. And I would love to know what you thought about that.
Okay, yeah, I have heard about it. Yeah, so far my drawer is all, and I purchased other ones, and it's like, is this a joke? Or read great reviews and then I put it on my own skin.
No.
Work so hard to get it in, or you have to put makeup on top of it, which I don't. Today I'm wearing makeup because I'm talking to you, but most days I don't want to. Any lower end options? Oh yeah, that is another.
That's a huge problem. And truly good zinc-based sunscreen that's cosmetically elegant for people with darker skin tones. I don't have a lot of cheaper options. Super Goop has some mid-level options, and they just reformulated their CC cream, which is too much makeup, it sounds like, than you would want to wear, but it does go quite dark, which is awesome. DermaQuest has a great sunscreen. It's like $50, but it comes in 4 shades, and the darker 2 shades are actually quite effective on darker skin types. And that one I can't keep in stock in my office. It plays really nice with makeup and other things.
Okay, I'm gonna follow up with this short list. But
yeah, let's make a list. I'll send you a list and you can share it with people, because I do a lot of work on this. Clearly,
it really is a challenge. It really is a challenge. So it's very hard to say this is the ideal formula to use, but also it may make you look like
totally. And I should clarify that chemical sunscreen is better than no sunscreen, right? And chemical sunscreen, avobenzone, oxybenzone, oxytinonate are all starting to have some pretty impressive data against them. So I want there to be I want us to go out and buy the brands that are doing the right thing if they're meeting our needs, right? But if they're not meeting our needs, then yeah, we need there to be pressure to meet those needs. But I do feel like in the last 2 years, Supergoop, Elia have done a good job of really expanding who can use zinc, and I'm excited by that.
Okay. Okay. I love to hear that. I love to hear that.